All right, ready to dive in. We're tackling something everyone's got an opinion on. Money. But hold on, before you hit that skip button, thinking this is another budgeting lecture, it's not.
Definitely not.
We're using this YouTube English lesson, of all things, to go deeper. It's about the wild relationship between money and, you guessed it, happiness.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising, right? These lessons, they're sneaky. Like they're slipping in some serious life questions between grammar tips.
Right. And they jump right into it, too. We've all heard it. Money can't buy happiness.
It's like the oldest saying in the book almost.
Totally. But this lesson, it doesn't just stop there. It digs into what that actually means. Like maybe it's less about money directly making you miserable and more about, I don't know.
The things it can influence.
Exactly. Like opportunity,
Yeah.
security, the stuff that, let's face it, plays a huge part in how content we feel.
It's acknowledging that money's a tool, right? Useful, for sure, but not the be-all, end-all answer to, like, a meaningful life. And they illustrate it so well with those two couples, remember? Totally different money situations.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so picture this. You've got this woman, right? Chooses a life of wealth over love.
Bold move.
Fast forward, and she's got it all, the mansion, the fancy cars, everything money can buy, but absolutely zero genuine connection. Kind of makes you think twice, huh?
It's like that classic warning, isn't it? Money might pull in some temporary company, but
Yeah.
true connection, that's priceless.
Totally. And then, on the flip side, you've got this other couple, completely head over heels in love.
But struggling financially.
Big time. Unemployment, their savings are dwindling, it's rough.
Yeah.
But the way they lean on each other, their love, it becomes this like anchor, helps them weather the storm.
Pure resilience. It's a good reminder that sometimes the best things in life, love, companionship, that deep connection, those can be incredibly powerful even when you're facing tough times.
Makes you think about those old sayings, right?
Yeah.
Love conquers all. Sounds good on a Valentine's Day card,
But
but
real life's a little more complicated.
exactly. Like what happens when love's not enough to, keep the lights on.
And that's where this deep dive gets interesting. It's not afraid to acknowledge that stuff gets messy, that there's this gray area where, your ideals slam into reality.
Totally. And it's not just romantic relationships either.
Yeah.
The lesson even talks about how money can, influence who's attracted to you.
Ooh, yeah, a little cynical, maybe, but you can't deny it, right? Someone's rolling in dough. It's going to attract a certain crowd, people after the lifestyle, not necessarily the person.
Like that saying, money can't buy friends, but it can get you a better class of enemy.
But cynicism aside, I think it's a fair point. Got to be choosy about who you let in,
100%. Look past the surface, right? Find those connections that run deeper shared values. Genuine affection. That's the stuff that lasts.
Which leads us back to that million-dollar question, doesn't it? Can money actually buy happiness?
We've come full circle.
We have. And honestly, I think the lesson makes a good point. There's no easy answer.
There's not a yes or no, is it? Nope. Sure, money can buy some comfort, some security, maybe even a temporary escape from reality. But guaranteed lasting happiness.
Like there's a price tag on genuine fulfillment.
Exactly. But then again, it's interesting to think about how money can open certain doors, right?
Speaking of opening doors, remember how the lesson brought up Elon Musk and his interesting take on education?
Oh, yeah. Elon Musk, the guy who's basically playing real-life SimCity with those companies of his.
And he just casually drops that he thinks college is more about having fun than actual learning.
Makes you want to ditch the textbooks and launch a startup.
But, whoa, hold on now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yep.
Musk is one guy, and his experience, well, it's his, not exactly a universal blueprint.
True. But it does make you wonder if maybe there are other ways to make it, that the traditional path isn't the only path.
It definitely challenges how we view education and what success even means. But remember, it's bigger than just careers and fat bank accounts. There's more to the story, right? The lesson makes this point. Money can't buy everything. Like, there are some things that are just inherently valuable.
The things money can't buy.
Yeah. Things like time and health. You can't just walk into a store and buy those.
Man, ain't that the truth? We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
That feeling of not having enough time in the day.
Exactly. And the lesson, it actually circles back to that whole time affluence idea. Like, sure, money can't stop the clock, but...
But it can free up your time, maybe.
Exactly. It's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time. I bet our listeners, all about efficiency, they get that. Imagine having the flexibility to do what you love. Spending time with the people you care about.
Yeah.
And not just because your boss says you can clock out now.
Right. What's the point of all that financial success if you're too burnt out to even enjoy it?
Speaking of which, have you ever noticed how, like, experiences tend to stick with you more than just, like, stuff? Oh, absolutely. Think about it. You get that new gadget you're excited for, like a minute.
And then it's old news.
Exactly. But a trip, a concert, just a really good conversation with someone you care about. Those memories, those last. And you know what? The lesson kind of touches on that too. It talks about how money can help you check things off your bucket list, have those crazy adventures.
Okay, so money can open some doors, but it can't buy everything. And even when it comes to experiences, it's not just about flashing the cash.
It's deeper than that. It's about who you're with, what you learn along the way, that personal growth you get from pushing yourself outside your comfort zone.
It's like, yeah. Okay, I have this story. I was so burnt out from work, just chasing deadlines, and I booked this trip last minute to this tiny island, no resorts, nothing fancy, just like nature and amazing food. It was exactly what I needed.
Sometimes you just got to disconnect.
Right. And it wasn't even that expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best investments aren't like financial.
It's about investing in your well-being. That's priceless. And like the lesson says, don't get so caught up in chasing the money that you forget to take care of yourself.
Because once your health is gone, no amount of money can get it back. And that actually reminds me of what might be the most, I don't know, real part of this whole lesson. Time. Like, you can't get it back.
It's the one thing we all have the same amount of, no matter how much money you have.
Makes you think, right? Am I spending my time on what really matters?
Yep.
And I'm making the most of this whole life thing.
Those are the questions, right?
It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day work, bills, just going through the motions. And then you hear something like this, it's like, wait, there's got to be more than this.
And isn't that what's so great about this English lesson? It's like it's pushing us to think bigger.
Beyond the vocabulary, words, and grammar rules.
Yeah, like what actually matters, what makes you tick. How do you want to spend your precious time, your energy?
And how do you define success? Not society, you.
Because it's not about the digits in your bank account at the end of the day.
It's about the experiences, the relationships, what you put out into the world. And speaking of the world, the lesson ends on this like really powerful note. It brings up global hunger. It makes you think, while we're here talking about money and happiness, there are people who are just struggling to survive.
It's a good reality check, right? Puts things in perspective.
Totally. And the lesson actually gives some pretty stark statistics.
9 million people every year dying from hunger. And related illnesses, of course. It's a lot. And it makes you realize, like, even having this conversation, it's a privilege.
Right. Like, we even get to think about this stuff. It's not just about our own relationship with money, though, is it?
Definitely not. There's a collective responsibility there, for sure.
It's like, how do our choices, our spending habits, giving back, all of it, how does that impact the bigger picture?
It's a good question to ask ourselves. What kind of impact do we want to have?
Because maybe real wealth isn't about how much you have, but how much you give back.
Love that. It's about realizing we're all connected. Our actions have ripple effects.
Okay, so we covered a ton of ground today. I mean, we went from love and relationships to Elon Musk to global hunger, all because of an English lesson.
Proof that the best deep dives take you to unexpected places. But it's not just about the info, right? It's what we do with it. And that's where you come in, listener.
Remember that question at the end of the lesson. That question, what's your take on money? It seems so simple, but
it can really make you think.
Right. It's about figuring out your values, what really matters to you. What's your definition of success? Because at the end of the day,
It's not just about the money.
it's about how you live your life, how you treat others, the mark you leave on the world. So that's it for our deep dive on money and happiness. But the conversation doesn't have to end here. What resonated with you? What surprised you? Keep those questions in mind, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.